You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I think we've all been told this at one point in life or another, or we have said this at one point in time during our lives. Most of you guys who are watching or listening to this are older than me. You guys probably have kids. I do not. I am not old enough yet, really. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Which we all know is so much worse to hear. We all know that's so much worse. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Syracuse football. I'm not mad at them. They tried. They gave effort. I'm not questioning their effort. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed in their game because for the second time this season after a bye week, this team just forgot how to play football, and really it was on the offensive side. Let's set the stage for this game and why I'm disappointed in Syracuse football. If you recall, they got out to a 2-0 start. Then they fell flat on their face against Stanford. And in that post game, if you go watch that back, I was mad at Syracuse football. You know why I was mad at Syracuse football? Because they should have handled their business. And they were a play away from escaping with a win over Stanford. But you know what? They lost. They lost. It was a tough one. I was mad at Syracuse for that, but they recover. They go on a 3-game win streak. They get a ranked win at UNLV for their second ranked win of the season. They're 5-1 heading into the bye week. They're going up against a Pitt team that's 6-0, also coming off a bye week. So anyone that wants to use the bye week excuse, well, there's no excuse because actually both of Syracuse's losses after bye weeks have come against teams also coming off a bye week. So that's the stage here. Winner, in this case, Pitt, would firmly establish themselves as a contender in the ACC. And the loser, in this case, Syracuse, we all know that. They just lost 41-13. You would know it would probably not be their year. That they would not really be a real contender in the ACC. And you would just be hopeful that they can still put together a solid regular season and be a good bowl team and at least use this year as a building block for years to come, right? Is that fair to say? I mean, if you look at Pitt's perspective, right, they got redshirt freshman Eli Holstein, who got dinged up at the end of the game. Hopefully he's okay. He never should have been in the game to begin with at the end in that fourth quarter there. But, you know, they got a bright future with Holstein. And if you look at Syracuse, it's a brand new coaching staff, first-year head coach. Yeah, they won't have McCord next year, but, you know, you have a good regular season. That obviously builds momentum for following years. That's the optimistic way of looking at it if you lose this game. And obviously we'll talk about it in the road ahead. Syracuse hadn't won at Pitt prior to tonight, and actually that streak continues, since 2001. And now I don't know what it is about Pittsburgh. Maybe it's the water. I don't know. They just can't win there. They can't. And what makes this loss really, really hurt, and why I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in Syracuse football, is that it wasn't actually the defense that let us down. If you go back to the keys before the game that I laid out, right? Special teams was one of them. I mean, they missed a field goal, but other than that, I think the special teams was fine. They didn't get much of a chance. Containing Eli Holstein and Desmond Reid, and actually Syracuse football did a pretty good job on them. They did a pretty good job on Eli Holstein and Desmond Reid. Eli Holstein for the game was 11 of 15 for 108 and 2 touchdowns. But in the first half, already when Syracuse was out of this game, Eli Holstein was what? Okay, I got it right here. He was 5 for 9 for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. Pitt had 83 total yards in the first half. They did a fine job on the Pitt offense. Pitt had 5 possessions in the first half, 1 touchdown, 1 field goal off after a short field, so it was a good stop by the defense, and 3 punts. And the game started with Syracuse on defense, and they get a 3-and-out. And you're thinking, here we go. This is it. This is our chance for Syracuse football to establish themselves as a contender in the ACC, make a statement, get their third-ranked win. And instead, this Syracuse offense, which prior to this game was one of the best offenses in the country, made that Pitt defense, and I want to give credit to Pitt. Shout out to Pitt because they were the far superior team tonight. Before I say this, they were the far superior team. They earned that win. Their defense was spectacular. But going into that game, they were 8th in the ACC in total yards allowed per game. 8th in the ACC, right above Syracuse, which was 9th. There's a reason why a lot of people thought this would be a high-scoring game. It ended up being a high-scoring game, just not in the way that we imagined. And this Syracuse offense made Pitt's defense look like it was the steel curtain, and you can add on Aaron Donald and Darrell Gill to that too, right? Think about Mean Joe Green and Aaron Donald next to each other, two of the best defensive tackles in NFL history, and Darrell Gill next to Mel Blount. How about that? Look, we knew going in that Pitt's pass rush was going to be good. They have 18 sacks in 6 games. They just sacked the Cal guy 6 times 2 weeks ago before their bye week. We knew they had a ferocious pass rush, but my goodness, this one hurts for Syracuse football. Once again, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed because I expected better. I expected better from Kyle McCord and all the weapons he had. Syracuse, before the game, it turns out that Marlowe Wax is healthy on defense. He's playing. Trevor Pena, who it seemed like he wasn't going to play, the star slot receiver, he's playing. He's active. He was on the field. I saw him. There's no injury excuse either. But the whole offense, man, the entire offense just, they had their worst game of the season. Their absolute worst game of the season.